Hi, I'm Shane Smith, Executive Editor of Mason Votes, and we're here with Dilan Wickrema, sitting down. He's a candidate for Student Body Senate, Senator for re-election, correct?
Yes, that's correct.
So we're sitting down with Dilan here for our Meet the Candidate series, and I'm just going to ask Dilan a couple of questions, and you can make an informed decision on Tuesday of this week coming up when the ballot goes out for Student Body President and Vice President and Student Senate. So Dilan, firstly, thank you for being here.
Hey, thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
So just tell us a little bit about yourself and the obvious question, why are you running for re-election?
Definitely. Well, I'm Dilan Wickrema. I'm a sophomore from Columbia, Illinois, right outside Chicago, global affairs major. So that's why I came out here to D.C. area, Virginia. I guess I'm pretty involved around campus. I was a Patriot leader, head team now, been around various clubs and different stuffs. And because of that, just because of my involvement, most of my efforts in student government have been really geared towards university life. This year I was University Life chairman, so I put a lot of my energy towards those initiatives that I kind of went through. So hopefully I will continue some of those stuff. Some of the initiatives I was really trying to push forward, especially this year and hopefully continue next year, are doing some of the traditions we've been doing in the past, of course, like Gold Rush, Witch Watch, a lot of the programming aspects, but it's also a lot of the policy stuff that falls under the university life, such as student conduct. We had a big student conduct roundtable discussion a couple weeks ago, right before spring break. Went really great, had some great student participation. So I'm really looking forward to pushing that forward next year and continuing those conversations with administrators, students, and student government, trying to be that intermediary between the two students and administrators.
Cool. Let's talk about, because full disclosure, I used to be in student government, so I kind of know a little bit about how it works if my memory serves me correctly. So one of the biggest things that a lot of students kind of, around campus have a feeling of is that student government really doesn't do much, but they're, good for a t-shirt, like Gold Rush, for example. Great event. I personally like the event. However, a lot of criticism for student government has come, and it said, well, they spend most of their budget on t-shirts for Gold Rush, and they only get handed out during basketball season and all this other stuff. Was it like that this year again, or have they been handed out at other sporting events like lacrosse or baseball? And if it hasn't changed, do you think that something has to change, because it's a real criticism, and it's a lot of money that goes into spending on these t-shirts.
That's right. I mean, just in general, the t-shirt money doesn't just come from student government budget. We usually solicit a lot of donations from not only other offices, but the community as well. So I think we didn't spend that much. Most of it was donated, so that's a big part that got taken away from our budget that we didn't really have to spend, so we could use it for
So it's a misconception.
Yes, I mean, I understand it's a very understandable conception that people have, but most of the money does not come from our budget in general. It comes from other offices, the community. We do a really hard job, or a really good job, trying to go out to the community and other offices and make sure that, hey, we have this annual tradition that we really like to put on that a lot of people attend to. How would you guys like to donate? And really make sure that, because I know it is a big conception, we want to make sure that students' money that comes through our budget is not used just for t-shirts, that we can use it throughout other programs throughout the university as well.
And another thing that University Life does, I guess, in terms of hosting events on campus or co-sponsoring events, is a student organization can come and say, hey, we're trying to put on this event, would you like to co-sponsor it with us? And when they say that, and when you guys pass a bill or a resolution to support it, the bill, I guess, is the one that would allocate the money.
That's correct.
Do you think that that's a proper role for student government? Because we have a student funding board.
That's
so
right.
if a student organization came to student funding board and they didn't meet their criteria in order to get the money from student funding board, should student government be the next stop in terms of being able to allocate money to those student organizations?
I think that's a great question. Especially this year, we did a lot of work with other organizations throughout campus, and some of them we did provide funds to. And I wouldn't say most of those organizations or events didn't go to Student Funding Board because they didn't meet the criteria, but instead they wanted to work with us as an organization, because student government is not a club, but it's not a per se Student Funding Board type of organization either. We have a lot of members, so a lot of the organizations like to work with us because we provide not only, we can provide funds if necessary, but also manpower, support, advertising, as many of our members are involved in other aspects of the community. So we can provide a lot more than just money, as Student Funding Board does, but also provide support via people, via getting other people out from the community, other people out from the university, really out to their event, and really show, hey, this organization is doing a great job to try to increase such and such, and to benefit the entire university, and they have our support, which I think is what organizations that come to us and ask for either money or resolution is really what they're asking for an overall organization.
And I think a good example of that would have been what just happened yesterday, actually, the Holy Moly.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, I
exactly.
saw that. It seemed like a lot of people had come out, and that was an event that student government co-hosted with the Indian Student Association.
Exactly.
So I understand your answer to that. So getting back to your record, so what have you accomplished in student government that you're most proud of?
I think definitely looking to, there's a couple things. Definitely looking to build upon our existing traditions, such as, like I said before, Gold Rush and Witch Watch, and other university life initiatives, which I put most of my energy towards. But also really getting to know and kind of expanding the student government's roles. Like you said before, we had a conversation beforehand, how student government, its funding is a lot lower than other schools' student governments. And I said, we know we're a really new school. Every organization is still trying to find its place. I really want to expand how student government's role works within the university and works with administrators, works with other organizations, and try to build it up and make the best out of our organization and try to expand that role. So that's kind of my vision. As for other kind of accomplishments I think I've done, is really working with student conduct. That's kind of been a big thing for me, and throughout the whole university there's always conversations, and it comes to the university life. So having that student discussion and then bringing that report to the administration saying, hey, how can we work on this with you? These are some questions or concerns students had, and maybe starting from the ground up and working with them to address those concerns directly from the students with administrators.
And I guess finally, talking about the challenges going forward for student government, because a lot of students, when asked or polled, will say, what does student government do, or not even know where the office is, and things like that. What do you see are the biggest challenges facing student government? Because like all organizations, they have challenges and things that they can improve on. And I'm not saying that this is a widespread thing that a lot of students are saying, what does student government do? But in terms of student media going out there and asking what you guys are all about, it seems like there's a little bit of a disconnect. So just can you speak to the challenges that you guys face?
Definitely, and I think that you just named it right there. Just having students understand what our role is and what we can do for the student body. And that's, not a challenge. A lot of people say student empathy. I don't agree with that at all. I look at that as a challenge for our organization to improve upon itself and say, hey, students don't know what we do or are not quite sure what our role is within the university. What can we do to make that better? And I think that's easy. Working with more student organizations with their projects, and that kind of allows for student organizations to kind of understand, like, hey, student government's a great place to come to if we need help with something. Working with putting on more programmings with other organizations or just with ourselves, just to kind of show, like, hey, we're trying to help the students, and having more open discussions, whether if any student concerns come up, though, addressing them immediately and be like, hey, we're having a discussion forum about this, come on in, let's talk about this, what can we do?
Well, thank you, Dilan, for being here once again. I want to thank Dilan one more time for stopping by and sitting down with us for our Meet the Candidate series, which will continue before April 2nd when you guys can vote. So, again, Dilan Wickrema running for Student Body Senate for re-election. Be sure to check out your ballots April 2nd. I believe it's coming via email.
Via
email. So check your Mason student email, and don't forget to vote. Thank you.